Welcome to the AERA DivG Campus Liaison Spotlight webinar. Today, we are joined by a campus liaison from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. My name is Isha Price, and I'm a PhD student at Rowan University and a member of the DivG Grad Student Executive Committee.
Hi, my name is Hyun. I'm a fourth-year PhD student at the University of Minnesota Twin City and also a member of Division G Executive Committee member.
Today, we will be hearing from Lori West. She will be sharing information about her CL experience and recent events at her institution. And then we will end with a question and answer session. There's a chat box in Zoom, so feel free to submit your questions there, and we will address them at the end. You will see that the PowerPoint is being shared, but it will also be available in the chat box. So Lori, why don't you start off with telling us a little bit about yourself and then take us through your presentation.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and also thank you to AERA and most importantly to Division G. So I am a PhD candidate at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and I'm looking at oral histories of the DeSable Museum of African American History in Chicago. And I am currently serving as the Division G campus liaison for the University of Illinois for this year. And this is my first time serving as a campus liaison. And for the last 2 years, I served as the Division F graduate student council representative for AERA. So I was working with history and historiography. And so my research is interdisciplinary. So I do curriculum studies, I do history and historiography, and also social context of education, etc. And so I saw this as a good opportunity for me to continue to be involved with AERA, with the Graduate Student Council, and also serving and mentoring and doing other types of things. So that's why I applied as a campus liaison. Although I wasn't aware of prior liaisons from our institution, I am interested in learning more about the broader opportunities and connecting with liaisons that are across the country or globally within Division G.
Okay.
And then I can go ahead and talk a little bit about what we started to do. So I think one of the most important things for me this learning coming into the position was basically just to know the campus. I think one of the most important things is just knowing your individual institution. And for me, that meant understanding the system that's here on campus in Champaign, knowing who the contacts are within my college, within the College of Education, as well as contacts within other programs or units on campus that may have a potential interest in the social context of education. And so I think that as campus liaisons or as any graduate student that is in the process of trying to network or develop programs or to collaborate, one of them is to just use the resources that are already available to you. And so that's one of the things that I did first. And then I began to think about the mission for Division G. So I know that one of the things that was really important for me, I'm kind of a little nerd, so I do a lot of research, just like all of us do research. And so I went ahead and I read as much as I could from the Division G website. So I looked at the handbook that you all have put together, which was wonderful. I actually read through that several months ago, actually. And I went over it again as I was invited to sort of talk about my experience. And so I think that that's an excellent resource. And as the committee or the council is looking at ways to improve, I think just adding more information to that will be helpful, particularly for first-time liaisons, to add to the, there's a PowerPoint presentation there. There's examples of like 4 or 5 programs. Just to continue to develop that resource will be wonderful. And so I think that one of the other things that I learned the last 2 years as a rep for a Division F was just to stay positive, because the AERA system is it's a system. So right, it's a system. So things take time, particularly as it relates to communication, social media, technology, following the chain of command to get things done, and then just scheduling and everyone being a student first or a family person or whoever it is. So I think that one of the most important things for me is just to know that, first of all, understand the system on my campus and who the contacts are, but also understand that I have to be patient, right? You have to be patient as you're trying to plan things and not to get too frustrated or discouraged. And so that's why my life motto is just stay encouraged. But I had to do that, definitely in my my graduate experience and also just in the last 2 years serving in this current year as well. So I say learn from mistakes, because you're going to make mistakes and there are things that you're not going to know. So I think that that's the most important thing. And then just to keep moving forward. And so the very first program that we were really blessed to participate in was to collaborate in relation to the AERA Brown Lecture. And so on October 24th, in partnership with the College of Education, we co-sponsored a viewing party of the 16th annual AERA Brown Lecture, A Shade Less Offensive, School Integration as Radical Inclusion in the Pursuit of Educational Equity. And that was presented, of course, by Dr. Prudence Carter. And it was a phenomenal presentation, lecture. And so one of the things that I had thought about was that our institution has almost always, if not, in fact, they've always, ever since the very first lecture, they have hosted an informational party or a viewing party or something. And so I've participated virtually in those or physically on campus. And then last year as a senior rep, I was in Washington, D.C. at the Brown Lecture. And it was one of the most important, it was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. And so as I spoke with people about the experience, and I thought, if they could just physically be there, and we know that everybody can't physically be there, it would just be wonderful to get as many people as possible at the viewing lecture. And so one of the other things that came together really quickly was that the College of Education was planning this event anyway, and I contacted the office to see if they would be willing to collaborate. And so I put together information on Division G, and I explained that my role had changed and that I was a new campus representative, and if they would be willing to work with me and partner. And so I personally just sponsored the pizza and the I always have to decorate everything. So, I had orange and blue tablecloths and flowers and all sorts of things. And I meant to give you a sample, and I will send to you a sample of the table tents. I created some just table tents that had, logos for Division G, the lecture. There was signage for each of the speakers. Everything was just, it was professionally prepared so that, because that's the way it should be. So I also posted on Facebook on the Division G site, because I remember, of course, having worked in the last couple of years, that sending requests can take time. So to the best of my ability, I did as much as I could in terms of sharing information and posting information, because I knew that you always have to do that in as many mediums as possible. And so I communicated initially with Kathy Stelter, and she was the administrative assistant to the person who's in charge of all of our graduate programs, and that is Dr. Spann. And Dr. Spann is also very, very active in AERA as well, and was the chair for our division previously. And so she contacted him to get a formal permission to see if we could, in fact, collaborate. He was ecstatic about the idea. They had one faculty, Dr. Rogman, who was already going to be serving as a moderator, but they were looking for another moderator. And so they asked me to serve in that capacity, knowing that I had already participated in the past. And so that's one of the things that I think is a benefit for starting with the people that you know and with the system that you know. So they knew me from my service over the last 2 years. They knew me from my service in the college. They knew me from my service on campus. So as a result of that, they just automatically said, can you do this? And would you be willing to do this? First of all, they thought I was going to be in DC. They literally said, you're not going to be in DC? And I said, no, I'm not going to be in DC. So they said, well, can you do this here? So that was it was a blessing. It just all worked out really, really well. And so the other thing was that by me being proactive, Kathy didn't have to do anything other than send out correspondence. And then the blessing in that is that she has contact with the entire college, all the faculty, all the students, everyone. So I prepared the script, I attached, she had initially had a College of Education flyer, and I just developed the one that you see here so that it would include the Division G logo and all of that, and then all the speakers' information. And then the other thing is that we often forget is we always want to say thank you. You always want to verbally and tangibly appreciate everyone. So I don't know that I got everyone, but I tried to get all of the campus liaison team at least an image or something on the flyer as well as the key people who made the event possible. So that was our first event. And one of the outcomes of that event was that another faculty person was also present there, as well as several other graduate students. And so we had an opportunity to have a really, really substantive conversation after the viewing. And a few of the topics that came out as a result of that, we spoke specifically about the challenges of integrating policy, practice, and community service, both in the local context, nationally, and also with our individual areas of research. We also dialogued about understanding and maximizing graduate funding opportunities, because that is a hindrance. It's a barrier in many cases to being able to do and participate in so many different things. We talked about identifying faculty mentors, and we talked about AERA broadly. So I forgot to mention that when I asked Kathy to send information out about the event, I also sent information about AERA and Division G specifically, so that students could start to learn more about the institution, about the organization, and about the division and other areas they might be interested in, because a lot of our work is interdisciplinary. So that's always been incorporated into the correspondence. And then also one of the topics that we talked about was champions in the graduate student journey, right? Having people that are going to support you along the way, having allies. And the other professor was Dr. Castillo, Nathan Castillo, that was there. But then we had a wonderful, I think, I don't know exactly how many people we had. We probably had about 30 people or so, or something like that. And some people came and went because there were multiple events that were going on. And then some people were teaching, and there were multiple classes going on down the hall. But it was just wonderful. I mean, we had, I had the benefit of being able to take care of the pizza. She had already ordered cookies. And we both brought water, and then we had decorative napkins, plates, tablecloths, table tents, everything. They rolled in chairs. It was just a really nice setup. Everything and we had a tech. They took care of the tech. So that was the other benefit of having the connections in the office or the unit or the organization that you're already a part of on your campus. They already had a tech person whose job it is to take care of all of that ready to go. And we actually did have some tech challenges, and so that was taken care of immediately, and so we had no problems whatsoever. It was a very smooth event, and I was just thankful for all of the support and the collaboration. And so I think something like that for anybody who's interested, or particularly as a first-time person coming in, I didn't know what to expect. This was literally, I think, just a couple weeks after you guys had said, yes, we're willing to have you serve in this capacity. It just worked out. And so that's why I think it's important to kind of just start where you are. It can be something very small. It can be something that's already in progress, but as long as someone's willing to work with you, it doesn't have to be elaborate, but just the fact that it's there, people will come out and they were excited. So that was one of the benefits. The other thing that did not that we didn't plan, but you planned, Division G planned, was a recent webinar that was community-based research webinar. And one of the faculty that was presenting on that webinar was Dr. Ruth Nicole Brown, who's here at the University of Illinois. And so after I saw that, and I saw that on Facebook, so then as I'm thinking about something that will continue to help campus liaisons, one thing will be for us to share consistently, or as much as possible, what Division G is doing as early as we can, so that people can spread that word on their campus. I happened to see it on Facebook, and then when I pulled it off of Facebook, I sent it to the college, and then again, I sort of curated and crafted a statement and asked permission again to see if it would be possible to share that with all the students in the college, not just particular students. And then Dr. Brown actually emailed me back and just said, thank you so much. And so I was able to listen in on that webinar as well, but not just for the people who were presenting from the University of Penn, from Penn, and there was another faculty as well from another institution as well, but for all of us. It's important to sort of know when those things are happening. So that will be one suggestion moving forward. And I think the other thing that I would just end with is that one of the things that came up as I was working and serving the last 2 years as a liaison for my division is that everyone has areas of strengths and gifts, right? We all have areas of strength. And I think if we can maximize those strengths, if we can tap into those strengths. So I know that having read the training manual that you guys have on the web, that there were some institutions, and I also looked at all the schools. Like I said, I'm kind of like nerdy. So I looked at everything. All the schools, you have like that Google map, and I looked at every single state, every single school. There are some institutions that, you know, have one person, some that maybe have four, some that have three out of the same department, you know, whatever it is, maximize that opportunity. And then for people that are there by themselves, that there should be a network, maybe once a month or something like that, to say, this is what's going on. So possibly the junior rep or the senior rep or the combination could maybe share after those. I know that over the last 2 years, we would meet about every other month. And then as the meeting approach, we met like once a month. We would meet like more consistently as we were getting ready for the annual meeting. So maybe sending out a newsletter or sending out just a quick email and saying, hey, these are the things that are coming up on all of the divisions. So one of the things that was exciting about the Brown Lecture event was that we had people that were there from Division G, from Division F, from Division B, from all over. And so it's even though each of us are trying to maximize attendance and support for our individual divisions, there's a lot of crossover in our research. And so it will be helpful to know not just when the Division G mentoring options are, but are there K mentorings or L mentorings, or more broadly to be able to share? Because if we're representing the campus or supporting the campus, then it will be helpful to have information that might be helpful for people who are not just in siloed in that one particular area. Because even in the college, people are doing things all over. Mm-hmm. So that is, you know, those are just the two things that I would share. And then I just wanted to say thank you to the faculty that were particularly supportive. Our dean, Dr. Anderson, has been an avid supporter of AERA and participant. He was, I think, the first speaker for the Brown Lecture, but just has been wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And then Dr. Span and Kathy. And I think the other thing that we often forget is Kathy, for example, is an administrative support specialist. And so we talk about mentors and coaches who are faculty. We talk about our peers who are other graduate students, but we forget the people who are doing the work, you know, the people who are cleaning the office, the people who are sending the emails, the people who are making the photocopies. And when I emailed Kathy back and I said, you know, with your permission, could I do this event, or could we co-sponsor this? And I'll work with your team. And I sent her, like, again, I'm kind of anal. So I sent her like this detailed list of, you know, Lori will do this and you'll do this. And I said, you know, your team will do this. And she emails me back and says, I'm the team. You know, I'm the only team person other than the tech person. So sometimes we forget that everyone doesn't have 4 or 5 or 6 people. It may just be one person, right? That's doing everything, making the flyer, sending the email, rolling the food down the hall, everyone. And then in this case, that's, had I not reached out and wanted to collaborate, she would have been trying to do all of this on her own. And I didn't know that. You just assume that there's a team of people doing that. So I was really, really thankful. And so I'm always conscious about the fact of making sure that people are recognized in what they've done, and regardless of what their title is, you know, they have played a role, a significant role, then they need to be equally recognized. And so that's why I wanted to make sure that I had thanked everyone in the college. And we have a very, 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 very supportive faculty and staff here at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. I mean, it's been excellent. And that's how I started going to AERA. It was from Dr. Yoon Pak, in a class saying, you know, this is how you get involved. And I started off going to mentoring sessions, and then we started presenting, and I've been going for the last maybe 7 years doing something. I've been participating every single year doing something, presenting or in a pre-mentoring session or something like that. And so I think that's how the organization has helped me, and that's why I wanted to continue to serve.
Lori, thank you. You've said so much, and I just appreciate you sharing your experiences. What I have taken away from your very short but plentiful presentation of information is the importance of sharing information, but not just specifically about Division G, but more broadly, because you're right, we are interdisciplinary and collaboration is key, right? We don't operate in these silos, so why share information in that very isolated way? I also hear you saying start collaborating with others. When you are a campus liaison, particularly for those of us who may be the only one at our institution, the first question we may have is, okay, well, where or how do I get started when I am a team of one, right? But to your point, the Division G, I guess, viewing party, the Brown Lecture viewing party that you had, that was something already in play, something already in motion. And so what I really hear from that is that we don't necessarily have to work harder. We can almost just work smarter.
Yes.
And if there are things already going on, hey, can we collaborate? Can I share this with my community, which is Div G? I think this will be a great opportunity. Thirdly, playing into your strengths, whatever they are, right? Whether you are a team of one or a team of many. One thing that I heard you mention is those bi-monthly, or if you have an opportunity to meet face-to-face, the importance of that. As we are gearing up for AERA, people want to talk. What does it look like if this is your first time? What are some things that we need to know that maybe aren't directly stated, but it's things that are helpful in just navigating that experience? And I think that that comes from having dialogue, from having a conversation. And then lastly, thanking those who support us and for that hidden labor, right? The things that we don't readily think about, but in order for this to happen, there are maintenance staff, administrative assistants, and people who really do the work of allowing us to be in these spaces and to learn from one another. I'm gonna stop talking. I know we have a few attendees. Do we have any questions for Lori? Okay. If you think of any questions, please feel free to either email myself or the DivG account. We're always here to answer your questions. Lori, I want to say thank you.
Thank you
so much for sharing this information, but also being an example, because the most common question we get about being a campus liaison is really, what does it look like? How do you do it? And I think that just by having this conversation, you are showing, embodying, but then also kind of giving the blueprint or the playbook for how to kind of get this work started, if you will. So we absolutely appreciate you taking your time, putting together this lovely PowerPoint, but also for your gratitude and just saying, leading by example and telling us, you know, hey, this is one possible way to be a campus liaison. And so we appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Before I close out, I do just want to share some additional information about being a campus liaison. We do, as Lori already mentioned, we do have a campus liaison information packet. The one that is posted online right now, I think it's from last year. We have updated that information, and we will be sending out the updated version of kind of basically what does it look like to be a campus liaison. We will also be sending out a scholarship connector, which we are really excited for this year, to help support what Lori already mentioned about collaboration across institutions, but also in our research efforts, right? What is some of the work that we're engaging in? And if we have commonalities or things that we want to collaborate on, just providing this space that we can all go to and say, hey, this is what I'm interested in. Is there anyone else out there who is doing some of the same work? And all of this information, this campus liaison information packet, the scholarship connector, as well as the map of all the CLs across the world, you can visit the AERA DivG blog on WordPress and click on the link of campus liaison page. Lastly, we have a pre-con application coming up. Our mentoring sessions are absolutely amazing. So if you are attending the annual meeting and you are interested in seeking mentorship opportunities, this is a great event to meet early career and tenured scholars to give you advice on your doctoral journey. The application is due on January 6th. And remember to follow us at AERA, DivG, and our Facebook page, which Lori has already mentioned. Many of us are already on social media, so it is a great way to get the information as quick as possible. The campus liaisons, we try as quick as possible to kind of get the information out there, but our social media accounts are usually the first places to be updated with the most current information. So please, if you're not following us on Facebook or Twitter, please do so. And thank you for your support. For those of you that are attending, and again, thank you to you, Lori.
Thank you both.
Thank you so much.
And that's it for today. Thank you.